It's time for everyone's favorite game, entitled Wild Fascist Show. I'm going to read you 5 quotes. You must discern whether they were said by John Rich, Donald Trump, or Alex Jones.
Or Logan Roy.
No, I don't know who that is.
Oh, Bill.
Who's that?
From Succession. You know that. The show? Oh my God.
The HBO program?
It's like the biggest show in the world right now.
So either of you can buzz in.
Okay.
Quote 1. I would like to extend my best wishes to all, even the haters and losers, on this special date, September 11th.
Can I buzz in?
Yes.
This is Donald Trump.
Yes. He wrote this on September 11th, 2013 on Twitter. Emma, you are really shitting the bed here.
I know. I'm too busy thinking about Logan Roy now.
It. All right. Quote 2. Hollywood is owned by the Arabs.
Alex Jones.
Correct.
Yeah.
Unprompted. Question 3. Referring to Bed Bath & Beyond filing for bankruptcy. Quote, hey, Mike Lindell, you should buy these bankrupt buildings and launch My Pillow and Beyond. It would be huge. Sick.
That's got to be John Rich.
Yeah.
That is John Rich on Twitter, April 23rd. So less than a month ago.
Sheesh.
Wow, he's active.
Quote 4. This hero worship of Dolly Parton has got to stop. If she said jump, half of you would just start jumping. No questions. Kind of gross if you ask me.
It's got to be John Rich.
Yeah.
It is John Rich on Twitter, January 16th, 2021.
2 days
Sheesh.
before my birthday.
Wow.
Egregious.
No coincidence.
Yeah.
I think mathematically you cannot win at this point.
It's okay.
But we're going to keep
I'm
playing.
just in it for the love of the game at this point.
Quote, the concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive.
Is that Alex Jones?
It's got to be Donald Trump.
It is Donald Trump.
Wow.
3-2. Wow.
He should lose a point there. Just because.
I think that's only fair.
Yeah.
It's more exciting now.
So
Yeah.
the loser has to listen to Vanilla Ice's Ride the Horse featuring Forgiato Blow and Cowboy Troy.
Ooh, I didn't know they collaboed.
Here you go.
It's what you deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live reaction?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep. You ready?
Yes. Okay, that's got to be Vanilla Ice.
It has been this entire time.
The first guy was Vanilla Ice?
He's the one in the Waffle House shirt.
I can't see the video.
Well, you should just know that.
This is Deep Dive Divas. Each episode, myself and a guest diva listen to every blessed studio album by an artist of their choosing and share our findings with you.
And sometimes so do I.
And today's one of those days.
Today's one of those days.
Baby. Our guest this episode is Emma. Emma is a voracious reader, writer, and editor. You can and should look at this amazing picture of her that Guy Fieri commented upon, of her dressed up as Guy Fieri in this episode shows. Today, we're talking country duo Big and Rich.
Left in this town, and I saddle up my horse and I ride into the city. I make a lot of noise, cause the girls, they are so pretty. Riding up and down Broadway on my old stud Leroy, and the girls say, save a horse, ride a cowboy. Everybody says, save a horse, ride a cowboy.
The group is comprised of Big Kenny and John Rich. They're from the US of A, Music City, Nashville.
Yeehaw!
They've recorded 6 records altogether and have been nominated for dozens of CMAs, CMTs, Grammy Awards over the years, in addition to routinely and repeatedly breaking into the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, 15 times to be exact. Why are we doing Big and Rich? Why did you two settle on this?
Why not?
Because they're good.
Because they're both big and rich.
They're so good.
Well, they're not both big and rich.
No,
One's
but like
big
One
and
of
the
them
of
other's rich.
energy.
Together, they are
Yeah.
big and rich.
Well, but, you know, of spirit, they're both big and rich.
Follow me back to the year of 1992.
That's the year I was born. That's as far as I can go.
We have a fellow named John Rich who was in a band called Texas C.
Texas C?
Texas C, as in a portmanteau of Texas and Tennessee.
Okay.
This was later renamed to Lone Star because that's less fucking stupid.
Still kind of lame.
John Rich was born in Amarillo, Texas, or as they would probably say in any part of the world where they're presented with that word Amarillo, which is yellow. While he was born in Amarillo, Texas, it appears that he was just kind of born there and then lived in Tennessee for almost the rest of his life. So this whole idea that he's a good old boy from Texas doesn't seem to jive.
He's just a good old boy from Tennessee.
Yeah. I met a man from Tennessee, and he was heading for Pennsylvania and some homemade pumpkin pie. From Pennsylvania, folks are traveling to Dixie's sunny shore. From Atlantic to Pacific, gee, the
Try the
traffic
gray stuff,
is...
it's delicious.
Oh, be our guest here at home for the holidays.
I just felt very like physically threatened there, being in the middle of that.
I think everyone finds us off-putting.
Yeah. So John Rich sang at Opryland, USA. If you don't know what that is, there's a reason for that. It closed in 1997, so you only had 5 years to have discovered that. So it's a music-themed amusement park. Was in Tennessee, and it had different segments such as like the New Orleans Quarter and like Wild Western Land, which was like super like frontier music, and each different part of the park had specified music affiliated.
That sounds
with it.
lovely.
It does. It did not do well, and it appears that the rides left a lot to be desired.
Wow.
Yeah, well, they were probably spending a lot of money on these bands.
Sure. And yeah, like I said, John Rich was a singer at Opryland.
Right.
So they had live talent. It wasn't just like
Yeah.
Disney with like the animatronic robots and all that. So John is also playing with this band, and he's also the co-lead singer of Lone Star up until 1998 when he quits the band. And there's a multitude of reasons for this. It appears the main one is the rest of the band and the folks around them said that having two lead singers was sort of confusing, which I get. Hall & Oates could pull it off. These two guys with very different vocal stylings.
The Beatles.
Sure. Yeah. Both of those examples, they sang together at a lot of parts. Lone Star, it seemed like here were the John Rich songs. Here were, I think the other guy was Richie McDonald was the other guy's name.
John Rich and Richie McDonald?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
there's a commentary in there somewhere.
Terrible. Richie McDonald will actually quit the band himself 8 years later, and that's the end of Lone Star.
So wait, if they had gotten married and Richie had chosen to take John's last name, he would have been Richie Rich?
Aw.
You walked in with legs up to your neck. You walked in. I'm a physical wreck. You walked in. I lost my cool, babe. But what you expect when you walk in, baby? Love begins when you walk by, baby. Ooh, my.
So in that same year, of which John Rich departs from Lone Star, he meets a fella named Big Kenneth Alphin.
Alphin.
Kenneth.
Yeah. And they meet at a nightclub, and they're just kind of hanging out together, and they discover...
Hanging out, sorry.
Hanging
What do we mean by that?
They decide, we should get together, and wink, wink, sometime, and write some songs. Big Kenny is from Virginia,
Okay.
and he is 6'5", hence the big. He's a big fella.
That's very tall.
Checks
Yeah.
out.
He put out a solo record in 1999 called Live a Little through Hollywood Records.
I feel the angels come and fill this room. Baby, when you're gone, I miss you so much. I do the only thing I can do. Oh, I pray for you. I pray for you.
This will not be released for 6 years. So he takes the time, the effort, the record label's expense to put together this album, and they don't put it out for almost a decade. And in the interim there, Big Kenny is like, well, okay, that sucks. But I'm not going to be deterred. I'm going to write music for other folks, including the Mavericks.
I love the Mavericks.
Jason Aldean.
I guess.
Tim McGraw.
Sure.
And Gretchen Wilson.
Oh.
Kenny then becomes the lead singer of a group called Lovejoy, spelled L-U-V, no space, J, uppercase O-I.
That's my Twitter handle.
They don't amount to very much at all, but his guitarist in the band is a fellow named Adam Schoenfeld, and his drummer is a guy named Larry Babb, B-A-B-B. And they will stick with Big Kenny for the rest of his life. He's still alive. So, okay, I can't say that, but up until this point, they're still working together.
So you'd say that they're life partners. I just want them to be in love so bad.
Who?
I don't know.
Just Big Kenny and someone you want
I
to
just want.
He's polyamorous and he's polymorphously perverse.
Whoa.
I just want everyone to be happy.
He's happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
You don't get that big without being happy.
Okay.
In 2000, John Rich starts recording and releasing solo music, including a song entitled I Pray For You. It's a song he wrote with Big Kenny when they were hanging out a few years prior, and it makes it to 53 on the Hot Country Songs chart. Just as a solo, like, demo almost.
It's not top 40, but, respectable.
So close. In 2001, in conjunction with a bunch of their friends, Big Kenny and John Rich form a group called the Music Mafia, spelled M-U-Z-I-K, Mafia.
Yes.
Let's go.
And they also do this in a nightclub in Nashville. So somehow the Music Mafia is an acronym portmanteau of musically artist friends in alliance.
So music is short for musically. No, the M in Mafia. The M in Mafia. Sorry.
But it still doesn't. So the music
artist friends.
But if you said that all out, it would be the musically artist friends in alliance.
In alliance.
But then the choice to spell music wrong was just an extra choice. That's okay. Cool. Yeah.
It just feels like it's very redundant.
Basically, this is a place for the members of the Music Mafia to collaborate together.
So what do you think, like cocaine? It feels like some cocaine stuff.
The idea was to create a place for musical cooperation and support. Stark contrast to what they perceived to be happening in Music Row at the time. They thought Music Row was very cutthroat in Nashville. You have been to Music Row. Have you also been to Music Row?
I have not.
I have not. Tell us about it. Music Row's in Nashville, Tennessee.
Absolutely. So it's just a couple of, facilities. At some point, you could get your record cut. You could get it, run by the A&R guy. Basically, the A&R guy could hook you up with a producer. You could go over to one place. They'd record their record. Then you'd ship that just down the street. They would print it to, vinyl, and you could have the record out, and it would all just kind of take place in one little neighborhood in Nashville, West Nashville, I guess, over by Vanderbilt University. I went to see what used to be probably the premier recording studio there on Music Row. It was Owen Bradley's barn, they called it, but it was a Quonset hut, which is a lean-to sort of a structure that he used for, to get some natural reverb, I guess. And they had demolished it, and it was now just an office space. And I remember being disappointed that the Quonset hut wasn't there and kind of peeking into the windows like, well, what are they doing instead? And there was a middle-aged white man with his shoes off and his feet up on a table, wearing a cowboy hat and a shirt buttoned down to, sort of like his chest, like nipple range.
Hell yeah.
Surrounded by women half his age who all had out clipboards and seemed to be like business people in professional attire, taking notes. All of them women, though. And I just felt like that was a real indication of where the country music business was at circa 2019.
Sheesh. Did you knock on the window and ask them what was happening?
No, I felt scared when I kept walking. I don't think I was supposed to have gotten as close to the building as I had. I think I was kind of like...
Did you knock out any security guards?
No,
as you want to do?
it wasn't like a Metal Gear Solid level. It was like I was just kind of outside at the street level.
So basically, this whole idea for the Music Mafia, it's this whole like come as you are sort of attitude. We don't care about how you dress or what your style of music is. Like we're welcoming to all people in all genres of music, which is nice. That's cool.
Yeah, especially in Nashville at that time. I think people were very trend chasing. Very.
There's a mold you got to fit.
Yeah, as ever with Nashville.
So they hold their first live show, which is an open mic, at a place called Pub of Love in Nashville on October 23rd, and it's free. And artists of any kind, not just in music, but any form of art is welcome. So at that first night, there was a painter who went up and painted live,
Wow.
a fire breather, a juggler, and one spoken word artist as well. Now, this Music Mafia thing has layers to it. You have the upper crest made up of the, quote, godfathers and godmother. That's Big and Rich, Corey Gearman, who's a music executive, John Nicholson, who's a country songwriter, and Gretchen Wilson, who we already mentioned before. Then just below the godfathers and godmother, you have the, quote, family members, including Cowboy Troy, Shannon Lawson, Damian Horn, also known as Mr. D. I bet.
No kidding.
Below the family members, you have the pit bosses, such as Max on sax, Max Abrams, and Adam Schoenfeld. Those are guys in Big and Rich.
This sounds like an MLM. Are we sure this is not an MLM?
Then below the pit bosses, we've got, the visiting relatives. It's literally what they're called. And holy shit, this includes Kid Rock, Three Doors Down,
What?
All of Velvet Revolver, Bon Jovi, as well as actually good people like Jewel, Cisco, let me see that thong,
Wow.
Hank Williams Jr., George Clinton, Daryl DMC McDaniels of Run DMC.
Whoa.
Pretty wild.
Wow.
And then you have former members. There are two of them. And I dug, and I could not see what you have to do to get kicked out of the Music
No
Mafia.
kidding.
You're not selling enough lotion.
But yeah, I guess. Dean Hall resigned on Christmas,
Whoa, there's got to be a story
and
there.
Chance.
The rapper?
No, just
Just
someone named Chance. Which on their website, the Music Mafia's website, it says hit in February 2007.
Can we get a wellness check on this man immediately?
You're just gonna go to when you two go to
Chance.
Nashville, just go down the street and just yell Chance.
Excuse me. Do you know Chance?
Is he okay?
So Country Music Television (CMT) did a 6-part series on the Music Mafia called Music Mafia TV, which followed them on their, quote, American Revolution tour, sponsored by Chevrolet.
Wow.
Within a year, it was obvious that the show was an asset to Nashville music, the whole Music Mafia set. And their live show graduates to an outdoor parking lot near the pub to fit everyone in it. And this spread to larger and larger venues over about a year. Until 2008, when the members get into a heated argument, and this kills the Music Mafia.
Oh my God.
Big Kenny is hit by a drunk driver this year.
Oh my God. Is he good?
Do you think it was Chance?
It'll come back.
Oh my God.
Chance's revenge.
Chance.
Now, in 2002, we'll go back a little bit. Kenny and John write a song called Armadillo Sky, which was recorded by McBride and the Ride, who aided them in getting signed the following year. So they have really good luck of doing a good turn by someone, and then that person comes back and they're like, "Oh, I'll help you out here," And that's going to continue.
Just takes a tractor another round and pulls a plow across the ground and sends up another prayer. He says, Lord, I never complain, I never ask why, but please don't let my dreams run dry underneath this Amarillo sky.
In 2004, the band begins working on a slew of songs for their record. Their lead-off single from it is entitled Wild West Show.
It was a big showdown. Oh yeah, we stood our ground. Shot out the lights. It got a little crazy. I don't wanna see us go the way of the buffalo. Don't wanna have another Wild West show. Hey
They produced the album along with a fella named Paul Worley, who is a session producer and guitarist. And on May 4th, 2004, Big and Rich put out their debut record entitled Horse of a Different Color. All three of us are in agreement that this is the best thing they will ever make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
by a lot.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
So it must have been maybe 2006. My aunt was getting married up in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, where the median age is like 62. And I was out on the dance floor, and the song comes on about saving a horse and instead riding a cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
And I left the dance floor promptly, yet my intoxicated grandfather was out there dancing the whole time.
He gets
The
it.
cowboy.
He's a true ally.
This was my first experience with Big and Rich. How were you two first exposed to Big and Rich?
I don't remember. I feel like it's just always been part of my collective.
Really? Okay, so
Yeah.
you always knew who they were.
Well, no, I always knew that
You had their
horse
poster
ride a
hanging over your
cowboy.
bed
No,
growing up?
well, you're putting words in my mouth now. I just like save a horse, ride a cowboy. Like came down from God, you know.
It's just always
been like,
been here.
yeah, I was born with it, you know.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
We had the CD growing up.
yeah.
We had it probably ground floor. It was a regular. Road trips, 4th of July, barbecues.
This is a good barbecue record.
Absolutely.
It is.
This was one that got a workout.
Yeah.
We listened to this a lot.
There's a track called Rollin' where they do a full edit on the word bitch. Like that was going too far. On Rollin', there's also a bunch of rapping in Spanish, which I thought was kind of
By
cool.
Cowboy Troy.
Yep.
By one of the members of the family.
La Familia. Not hit in 2007. I do have to say, every time I know what Cowboy Troy looks like, but
Right.
every single time I hear that name in conjunction with Big and Rich, I think of Cowboy Curtis from Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Me too.
Which was Lawrence Fishburne.
Larry at the time. Yeah, they really come out strong. The track opens up with Big Kenny declaring in a sort of preacher imitation that you're going to hear some country music without prejudice.
Yeah.
Unlike the rest of country music.
Exactly.
Brothers and sisters, we're here for one reason and one reason alone: to share our love of music. I present to you country music without prejudice. Hey!
Some of the songs are just so silly and ridiculous, but others, like Real World, really. I was listening to this at work and I was getting misty, and I did not see that coming. It has the line, "I'm a cowboy, Stevie Wonder."
And yet still.
There's also.
And you're just sobbing at that.
Yes, there's the hoedown on them singing about Prozac.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That boy, I love that.
Street on the corner. Some they say they're silly, some they say that he's a loner. How can you explain he's got a name nobody knows it? Did anybody ever stop and offer him a Prozac? Prozac, Prozac, Prozac. Riding grass in a rubber cement ball. Knows got the name for the brain and the cerebral. How can he believe what he sees on the TV? Nothing mainstream or executive fantasy. Happiness feet down the street.
I like the 6 Foot Town one.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I think I
6 foot, 7
yeah.
foot, 8 foot town.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, I was like, I'm into that. No, I gave Friday Night Lights energy.
Okay.
And I like that. That's how I judge music.
Does it remind you of the television program?
The television show Friday Night Lights.
Was it on there?
No.
Okay.
No, of course
you
not.
just- if
it's
you
just
were
like
making
it's
your own
vibes,
soundtrack
yeah.
for it.
But actually, they did have a soundtrack. It's the best thing ever, and I can't find it anywhere. So if anyone knows where that is,
Christmas
hit me
is
up.
coming up.
That's true.
This episode is coming out on April 2nd, 2024. So,
So-
could be
Okay.
a very late.
Easter.
yeah, Easter.
Okay.
Anyone just wants to make my day.
Around in a 6-foot town when you're 10 feet tall. Everything is so small. I'm always bumping
The song Love Train shamelessly rips off Picture Book by the
Bad.
Kinks.
It's bad.
And rags on CNN and suggests that the political divide in America could be resolved if we were all just to take a ride on the love train.
It also does the whole I don't see color,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
green, or which we love.
Purple and pink.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yuck, icky.
I see people getting mad on CNN. Who's right, Democrats or Republicans? I don't care who's right or wrong. I know a way we can all get along. Let's take a ride. Let's take a ride on a love train. Unwind. We'll be chug-a-lugging all the way.
I don't hate it.
I hate it.
Yeah,
guys hate it?
you're
I hate it.
wrong
Emma's right.
tonight. Yeah, I'm right.
It's not my yuck icky song, but it should be. It's terrible.
bad.
And especially, knowing what is going to come of
Yes.
John Rich. I also find it egregious that they don't credit the Kinks, despite just obviously ripping them
There is
off.
a lot going on in this song, my God.
Yeah.
In the song Live This Life takes a very unexpected religious turn for a record that has Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy.
Yeah.
Where Jesus is healing blind men and stuff in it.
Oh, I love that one. Now, my favorite religious song on this record is Holy Water.
Yes, which details the abuse that both of their sisters faced with their respective partners.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a song that at first glance made me laugh, frankly. There's something, again, about these, like, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy guys.
Oh, God, like the earnestness.
The
doesn't-
earnestness
yeah.
of it just didn't sit right with me.
Sure.
But that, like, having listened to it and the rest of their catalog, frankly, I guess I just wasn't giving them credit that they took it seriously what they were doing. I thought they were all just goofing. But I can see how, in retrospect, that is some earnestness making its way into their music already.
Everything would shine wherever she would go. But looking at her now, you'd never tell. Someone ran away with her innocence, a memory she can't get out of her head. And I can only imagine what she's feeling when she's praying, kneeling at the edge of her bed. And she says, take me away, then take me farther. Surround me now and hold me like holy water.
No, Joe, could you tell us about Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy?
Yeah, it's my yummy song. I know
Come on.
I know it's cliche, but sometimes the popular one's the best one, and I think this is one of those cases. I get such a kick out of
Champagne.
the notion of them riding down Broadway, Nashville, a place I've been, on a horse is very funny to me. Leroy, who they name. That's funny.
Name checking the horse.
The horse has a name.
They're really pro horse.
They really like horses.
Really-
A lot happens with this song. So they play it live at the Academy of Country Music Awards, where the song will basically, it gets a massive boon to its reputation. Like, people hear it and they fall in love with the song. And it subsequently goes up to 11 on the country singles charts.
Not
The video
bad.
is played endlessly on CMT, and it will actually go to 87 in Germany.
Wow.
They like country
Loves-
music.
And it becomes the theme song for the World Series of Poker.
Okay.
No, it's not about poker.
Decidedly not.
There's no references to gambling at all, does it?
No. Upon the release of this record, the band sets out on tour supporting Tim McGraw,
How about
a
it?
member of the Music Mafia,
That's true.
La Familia.
I heard an interview with Cowboy Troy where he described working at a Foot Locker in 2004. And he made it very clear, although he did sound like he was editing the story as he told it. He had left his phone in his locker as per company policy. and therefore missed a call from John Rich announcing that Big and Rich were going on tour with Tim McGraw, and they wanted him to come.
Aww.
And I just think it's really sweet that Big and Rich invited Cowboy Troy along on tour with Tim McGraw. They did not have to do that. He's on 2 songs on the record.
He's in the Mafia.
He's in like
baby.
the bridge,
Mafia.
but they let him come.
He sold enough lotions to be at the top of the MLM. He's in.
He's so much
you
fun
get.
to watch, though. I think it would be a serious mistake to not include him.
Yeah.
It's true.
The following year, we get their sophomore album entitled Comin' to Your City in November. The title track, Comin' to Your City, becomes the theme song for ESPN's College Game Day, and that propels the song to number 21 on the country music charts.
I didn't know.
Well, we flew through Cincinnati and we all got really happy. Grabbed a bowl of that Skyline chili along the way. Then we rolled on into Canton, scared the hell out of Marilyn Manson, and the party started happening. Hey, hey, hey. And in the middle of a Charleston night, we ran into Jessica White, and a little moonshine got us right plumb smack insane. And we're coming to your city, gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying.
On the whole, I found this album to be an attempt at being more accessible and certainly more patriotic, and it definitely works less for me.
Yeah.
What do you two think?
I mean, this was my second favorite. I think it's like a very steady decline.
Because you love America.
Because I love America.
The stars
obviously.
and bars,
yeah,
baby.
all about America. No, it starts out so good with the first album and then just dwindles down to getting worse and worse as it goes. It always has a point of view. Is the point of view good? Often not, but it's saying something, it made me listen.
There's a sick Nelly reference in Caught Up in the Moment.
Such a good
Which?
song.
Getting hot in here.
Caught Up in the Moment by Big and Rich is my yummy song.
Wow.
Well, she gave him a wink, said, come over here. Hey, hey, good looking, can I buy you a beer? It's like Nelly said, it's getting hot in here. I wanna take my clothes. Yeah, they got caught up in the moment, couldn't help themselves. They got caught up in the moment, it was wild as hell. It was everything they wanted, right then and there. They got caught up in the moment, caught up.
But I will say that song has the lyric, more than lust, but less than love, and that's brilliant. Mm-hmm. That's just that's writing, baby.
The song Filthy Rich takes on evangelists who profit from religion.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I just scratched my head when I got to this track because I'm like, I don't get these guys
shocking.
at all. I don't
Right.
know what their politics are.
It's genuinely shocking.
Yep. They will later play a benefit concert in Hotlanta for a memorial
Yollywood.
to the 173rd Airborne, at which the boys were made honorary members of the 503rd Regiment of the 173rd Airborne Brigade.
I didn't know.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yep. And you had mentioned the weird patriotic thing at the end, where Gretchen Wilson and Cowboy Troy are on the song entitled Our America. They basically sing the national anthem with some bits of the Constitution and Pledge of Allegiance that they remember thrown in there.
And Cowboy Troy jumps in with a little bit of the I Have a
MLK.
Dream speech,
Yep. Yeah,
which
yeah.
they cut off pretty quick.
They love to toe the line between pandering and actually having good intentions.
Well, yeah, because not far from these songs, you have 20 margaritas.
Yeah.
Quote,
Yeah.
I hear that stuff can really blow your mind. Into this track, blow my mind.
Which is bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jalapeno is my
Jalapeno.
yuck icky song.
You're also right about that.
It was a contestant for mine as well.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
It kept coming into my mind for weeks after hearing it. I couldn't think about a jalapeno pepper without kind of shuddering a little bit.
Take it for a ride in my El Camino. You know I like my ladies hot, like jalapeno. Woo! Jalapeno, brother. Woo! Steel.
Their sophomore album will hit 3 on the top country albums and 7 on the Billboard 200.
Let's go.
Wild.
That's huge.
Now, Hollywood Records, do you remember them?
No.
The people who
yeah.
shelved Kenny's record
No.
6 years prior. They're like, whoa. These
That
guys
guy?
are doing something. So they put out Kenny's solo record at this point. And BNA Records does the same with a solo album that John Rich made around the same time as Kenny.
Got it.
When he got out of Lone Star. You wanted everyone to be happy. Kenny finds happiness ostensibly in a woman named Kristiev. Kristiev Carruthers.
The fashion designer?
No.
Oops. Delete that.
And becomes a father figure to her 2 sons, which she had from a previous relationship. And together they have an additional son named Lincoln William Holiday Alphin in
Wow.
November.
They were doing crazy names before it was cool.
That's
Yep.
a wild name.
Yeah.
Wow.
2007, we get their 3rd album entitled Between Raising Hell and Amazing Grace, one of the worst album titles I've ever heard.
It's bad.
And one of their worst albums.
It's bad.
I will say this is where my parents stopped collecting Big and Rich records. They bought this one. They have it. It's in the collection. That's the end of the road.
The lead-off track is entitled Lost in This Moment, which I can only describe as dentist core.
It's their most popular song on Spotify
Yeah.
because of weddings.
Dentists
Because
are all
of
over the place.
dentists. Yeah, there's a
I
lot
think
of
it's
dentists.
because it's a wedding song. You guys.
Dentists get married too.
That's true.
Lost in this moment with you, I am completely consumed by feeling so absolute. There's no doubt. Sealing our love with a kiss, waited my whole life for this, watching all my dreams come true. Lost in this moment with you.
Lost in This Moment is the only song they ever had to hit number 1 on the country charts.
God, that explains
And it
something that
remains
happens
there
later.
for 2 weeks. And the song will actually have some cross-chart success. It hits 12 on the adult contemporary chart.
It's so adult
Ooh.
contemporary.
Which is, I think, mostly generated by sales.
Right. So like where you're buying it.
So John Legend appears on the track Eternity. For my money, it's the best song on the album, hands down.
On this record, yeah.
Sure.
I've been looking for so long to find this place I see. And I've just got to believe it's more than a dream. Seems it's time I should move on, but I hope you come with me till we find eternity.
On my notes, I declared this album, they're really leaning, like the one where they really lean into the earnestness.
This record is a few tracks shorter than their previous 2, which was good news to me.
Thank God.
It gets to 6 on the Billboard 200 and 1 on the top country album charts.
So it worked, the pandering.
Oh, yeah. They put out 3 EPs this year, which we will not discuss at all, but those EPs' names are Unplugged at Studio 330, Walmart Soundcheck, and Rhapsody Original.
Wow.
Rhapsody, I don't know if you recall, was like a digital storefront
Right.
for music. After this record has been released, Kenny goes to Darfur in Sudan multiple times with the organization My Sister's Keeper. This is an organization that's devoted to, from their website, advancing political, social, and economic justice for women and girls in Sudan. He goes there smack dab in the middle of the genocide of various ethnic groups in Sudan. And to date, several million people have been displaced and injured from this genocide. And the estimates wildly vary in terms of death, but most seem to hover around 100,000 to 300,000 people. Well, John, not to be outdone, becomes the host of the CMT program Gone Country, which saw Marsha Brady, Cisco of Thong Song fame,
back.
and Twisted Sisters Dee Snider attempt to become country songwriters. And that was his great contribution to humanity.
Wow. So equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was shot at Barbara Mandrell's house. Does that sweeten the pot for either of you?
I think that pushes it over the edge. That's more important.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
He was also a judge on Nashville Star with Billy Ray Cyrus, baby.
Oh, you don't say.
Let's go.
The following year, do you remember how I told you Kenny got hit by a drunk driver?
Yeah.
His neck's been jacked up this whole time as a consequence of that. In 2008, he's like, okay, we just had a #1 record. I'm taking some time off for this. But he's not like totally out. They're just not making a solid record at this point. They do contribute to the album Imus Ranch Record.
Wait.
The song You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party by the Beastie Boys. They do a cover of that. And these are songs chosen by
Don Imus?
Don Imus, racist radio DJ.
So I watched the basketball game last night between a little bit of Rutgers and Tennessee, the women's final.
Yeah, Tennessee won last night. 7th championship for Pat Summitt. Man, they beat Rutgers by 13 points.
That's some rough girls from Rutgers, man. They got tattoos and
some hardcore hoes.
That's some nappy-headed hoes there. I'm going to tell you that now. Man, that's some... Ooh.
Any proceeds from this went to the Imus Cattle Ranch for Kids with Cancer Foundation, which the Wall Street Journal reported that about $28,000 were raised for each child in this foundation. And they basically say there's no way that money was actually allocated to these kids.
You mean Don Imus didn't properly handle those funds?
This turned into the Attorney General of New Mexico and the New York State Attorney basically investigating this charity. Ultimately, the case was closed without charges being filed, but it is interesting that all of these different governing bodies were like, something's wrong here.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to not have been spent.
The foundation closed in 2014.
That's good.
Like, very quickly and abruptly. 7 years prior, Don Imus made racist comments about the Dallas Cowboys cornerback Adam Pac-Man Jones and the Rutgers women's basketball team.
Probably most famously.
Yeah. But like, he has a long history of this. For example, in 1984, Don Imus calls Howard Stern, quote, a Jew bastard who should be, quote, castrated and, quote, put in an oven.
Whoa.
Good.
He then refers to Howard Stern's co-host, Robin Quivers, by the N-word, as well as a, quote, spear chucker.
On the air?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
He also refers to Bill Roden, a black sports writer, as, quote, a New York Times quota hire, and consistently and openly refers to people from the Middle East as ragheads.
Great.
So they do stuff for his charity.
Yeah.
Good.
Remember those guys that don't see color?
Yeah.
They never got
Wow.
it. Never made sense to them.
It's almost like that wasn't real. Crazy.
John co-writes the song The Way I Loved You for Taylor Swift's Fearless.
What?
Wow. Oh my God. I need to sit down.
No, you were just at Taylor Swift's tour. Did she do that song?
Certainly not.
Did she go on a racial tirade and, make ethnic derogatory terms?
I might have been in the bathroom for that. Yeah.
Rich also writes, records, and performs at rallies the song Raisin apostrophe, as in raising, but it just looks like Raisin McCain. Like John McCain's a little raisin. Presidential hopeful John McCain in 2008. He closed out the Republican National Convention, the RNC, on September 3rd, playing that song. In 2009, quote, with Kenny's blessing, according to Country Music TV, John Rich was putting out his next solo record on Warner Brothers Record, entitled Son of a Preacher Man. He literally was the son of a Baptist preacher. It's very imaginative. He then promptly shit talks Kenny to a bunch of reporters. Quote, I write songs like Shutting Down Detroit. that are calling out the man. That would never be a Big and Rich song because Kenny would never say that.
Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Son of a Preacher Man goes to number 3 on the country albums chart and 15 on the Billboard 200.
Whoa, that's big.
Wow.
That's huge. That's bigger than most Big and Rich songs.
Yeah.
Kenny releases his second solo record while he's supposed to be recovering with his neck,
Hey.
entitled The Quiet Times of a Rock and Roll Farm Boy.
Oh my God.
That's cute.
Through Glowtown Records, which is a record label that Kenny made up.
Self-released.
He's fun.
I like Glowtown. That's
That
cool.
hits, yeah, that's cute.
I like it.
That hits 37 on the top country albums and 193 on the Billboard 200. So not really comparable.
But at
success,
least he's
but
there.
He's
on
still
the
in
list.
Each episode, we like to highlight the up-and-coming work of a discography developing diva. Today, that is Joe Glennon Jr., who just so happens to be Joe the producer, the co-host of this very episode. Joe sincerely does have an extensive catalog of music, which you can and should check out using the links in this episode show notes. And I'm absolutely sincere in saying the man's written some of my favorite songs of all time. So please do check out his work. It's fantastic and can be found anywhere that you get music. And again, including the links of this episode's show notes. Won't somebody please click on those beautiful links? Please! It is now time to tell her man's not hot, never hot, with Joe Glennon Jr. and his track, Cowboys and Football Teams.
The cowboy, the old school mass shooter, the outlaw, the gun-slinging kid, found fortune and fame by robbing the trains, but you know it's not all that he did. If you're wondering why Americans are so caught up in love with our guns, just look at the way our children play cowboys and Indians. Cowboy ran with a gang. Some were families or war buddies too. The hunger got into him, shooting up Indians on behalf of good people like you. Boone Helm, Jim Miller, both serial killers. Jesse James was shot by a friend. Billy killed kids dead in their cribs, and they all came to meaningless ends. So if you're wondering why Americans are so caught up in love with our guns, just look at the way our children play cowboys and Indians. And maybe someday there'll be some other way, some other game for our children to play, and cowboys and Indians.
You can hear more from Joe Glennon Jr. and listen to a playlist of our favorite Big and Rich songs, visit our shop and social media pages, contact us, view our citations, and so much more by using the links in this episode's show notes. Click 'em, cowboy. Kenny becomes a judge on the hit television show Can You Duet? In 2010, Kenny releases Big Kenny's Love Everybody Traveling Medicine Show Mixtape Volume 1.
He likes a long title.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Among other things, which could only be purchased through BigKenny.tv.
Which is still active.
Yes, it is.
Can I purchase it today?
I don't know if you can. You can
Okay.
purchase his mixed nut assortments, as well as T-shirts that say things to the effect of like, "It's happy hour." Kenny and Christiev adopt another son in 2010, Dakota Jefferson Holiday Alvin.
They
got
added
Holiday in there
Holiday.
twice.
That's not her name though.
No.
Is this man getting paid by the word? What is going on here?
Big Kenny then goes to Haiti in wake of the 2010 earthquake there, which leaves about 160,000 people dead. In 2011, John Rich puts out 2 EPs that, of course, we won't talk about, entitled Rich Rocks and For the Kids. The song Country Done Come to Town from Rich Rocks cracks the top 40 at number 34. And Big Kenny and John Rich reunite in the studio to write and record Fake ID along with Gretchen Wilson for the Footloose remake soundtrack, baby.
Is that what that was? Wow.
Yep.
That's a bad song.
Hey, mister, won't you sell me a fake ID? There's a band in the bar that I'm dying to see. I got my money and you got what I need. Hey, mister, won't you sell me a fake ID?
And the 3 of them will go on tour this year. I think it was a bad movie as well.
Yeah. I like Gretchen Wilson, by the way.
Sure. John Rich appears on the television program The Celebrity Apprentice, where he will meet his future boyfriend. And he raises over $1 million for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital.
Wow.
That's commendable.
He wins the season, beating out Marley Beth Matlin, who is an actor. In 2012, the band puts out That's Why I Pray as an introduction to their next album, their 4th, Hillbilly Jedi. They didn't even write this song. Danielle Leverett from the Jane Deere Girls, along with 2 other songwriters, Sarah Buston and Blair Daly, wrote this song. So That's Why I Pray was released on the EP of the same name, which had 3 already released songs on it and a single on it. So they put out this EP before Hillbilly Jedi entitled That's Why I Pray. Right. And you could only buy this EP at Walmart. It was exclusive.
That was a big thing.
John believed that this would be their biggest song ever. It maxes out at 24 on the country charts.
It's fine. It's okay.
They were in a songwriting session with Bon Jovi, of John Bon Jovi fame, and Richie Sambora. And it was during this session where they're jamming, one of them came up with the line, "The Hillbilly Jedis with Attitude." And Bon Jovi stopped the session and said, "That's the title of the album."
Wow.
And he calls his acquaintance George Lucas to get permission on their behalf to use Jedi in the title, because Jedi is a copywritten word.
I hadn't considered, but it must have been. You know, this is.
And George Lucas says, yeah.
This is the first time in my life I can say, shout out to Bon Jovi. That's pretty cool.
So John Bon Jovi is on their lead-off track entitled Born Again.
It's bad.
It's my yuck icky song.
It's bad.
This is what I feared when you presented the idea of doing Big and Rich. This is what I was worried it would sound like. And boy, howdy does it. It's like every worst thing about shitty pop country music that I just detest. Where it's like this big, like, tough rock sort of sound and everything. And I detest it. And added bonus, it's Bon Jovi.
I know.
This ain't just talking. I've been a dead spitting the wind, riding high in the saddle with the six-string grin. Born again. I've been born.
When I saw his name listed, I was like, oh yeah, I guess they are kind of like Bon Jovi, aren't they?
They are. It
They
makes
are.
sense that he's there.
Yeah.
He just made it so much worse.
Yeah.
This album also happens to have my Yummy Yummy song on it. Medley of the Hillbilly Jedi. It's insane. It's like 8 minutes long. It's incredibly varied. There's some of their best melodies and harmonies on it. I think the lyrics are really interesting.
Here we go. If I had a nickel every time I tried to tell you that I really wish you'd keep it my gal, then we'd be rolling in the money, honey, on the beach of this sunny. While someone is serving us champagne, I know it sounds a bit insane, but I'm a little bit crazy for your love, baby, for your love, baby. You've got the sweetest thing, well, I'm not sure what it is, I know I likes a lot of it every day. I just like
In 2013, ever the spokesman, John tells the world that they're working on their 5th record and teased that it would be something closer in sound to their first record than anything else. And to release this, they make their own record label, Big and Rich Records, because Warner Brothers says, we're not feeling it this year. Maybe we'll put it out in 2015. And they're like, nope, we're putting it out now.
Should have
Why
listened
wasn't
to
it-
the record label.
And they state that a new song entitled Look at You was hitting the airwaves from their new record, Gravity.
Baby, when I look at you with them baby blues cutting right through me, you set me on the rewind back to the good times when you couldn't get enough of me. I guess I'm giving myself away, saying all the things I never did say. I lose myself, there's nothing else I can do. Baby, when I look at you, hey baby, when I look at you.
By and large, I found this whole thing kind of forgettable.
Yes. Boring.
I'm the outlier here. I think it's nice. I can imagine a fan who this is their favorite Big and Rich record very easily.
Okay.
This record has very few cringe lines. It's a little bit cringe country in the, like, there's still a little bit of like a punchline, setup punchline to a lot of these songs. Lovin' Lately has some of that. Brand New Buzz, you know. He's not talking about he found a new drink he likes. He's saying this lady is my brand new buzz.
Wow.
It's cringy, but like every one of these songs has an idea as its hook, and I do find that kind of enjoyable. I liked listening to it. I listened to it twice. I enjoyed it both times. It's just not nearly as fun as anything that preceded it. There's no like laugh out loud moment. There's nothing that entertaining about it particularly. It's just kind of like really good middle of the road country songs.
I found one particular lyric really interesting on That Kind of Town. Someday I want to live where the gossip don't make the paper and the baby doctor ain't the undertaker.
No.
Really heavy thing to throw at you in the middle of this record.
That's Friday Night Lights core again. We're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Someday I wanna live where gossip don't make the paper and the baby doctor ain't the undertaker, where there's more to life than a Bud Light and cruising around. But this ain't that kind of town.
So really quick, I think I'd like to take this moment to talk about infant mortality rates in the U.S. The United States is higher than most of our like GDP peers when it comes to infant mortality. Like for the amount of money in this country, we should have a much lower one than we do. We're hovering around 5.44 per every 1,000 births. So almost 6 dead babies for every 1,000 that are born. China has slightly higher at 5.47. Japan is at 1.82. And we have a higher GDP than Japan does. And this is also disparate within the United States as well. For example, the 3 highest in the US, which are all above 7, are Mississippi with 8.12, Louisiana with 7.59, and Arkansas with 7.38. Big and Rich's place of origin in Tennessee is 6.38. So all
above average.
Well above the national average, you know. Organizations such as Planned Parenthood provide prenatal care resources at no or low cost to pregnant mothers, and it is interesting that those sorts of places that have highest infant mortality rates are also the places that ban places such as Planned Parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a shame. And if that abhors you as much as it does me, those places are happy to receive donations in any way, shape, or form that you can. And again, this is something that like shouldn't be a political football, you know? Like Big and Rich cater very much to a certain demographic, and they're kind of calling it out on this. But also at the same time, if you look at who John Rich has supported, he has routinely supported people who have systemically cut out prenatal organizations that could do something to change infant mortality rates.
Right. Exactly. What's most frustrating about him is like the character that he puts on in his music and the character that he puts on in his public persona are so at odds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really frustrating because I really like the guy he pretends to be in the music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like the idea of somebody that's very Christian, but very open-minded and very political in a very, like, you know, help people way.
Yeah.
All of that is true, but also when I first heard that song, I thought when they said baby doctor, they meant like a young doctor, like Doogie Howser. So I was like, oh my God, go off.
Boy, you had a much more fun.
I did. I was like, oh my God, wait.
On the track Don't Wake Me Up, there seems to be a quoting of Taylor Swift's You Should Have Said No, especially the guitar in the intro.
Mm-hmm.
And again, John Rich has written with Taylor Swift, so it's not impossible. The album comes out at 8 on the country music album charts and 51 on the Billboard 200. Still respectable.
Yeah, very.
And 10 on the Billboard independent album charts, where they will now be a mainstay at because they're doing this by themselves without Warner Brothers. 2016, John Rich's song Shutting Down Detroit becomes a cornerstone in Rand Paul's 2016 presidential run. Once Rand Paul drops out of the race, he throws all of his weight behind Donald J. Trump. He even plays at the pre-inaugural ceremony.
Good.
Cause in the real world they're shutting Detroit down, while the boss man takes his bonus pay and jets on out of town. And DC's bailing out them bankers as a farmer's auction ground. Yeah, while they're living it up on Wall Street in that New York City town, here in the real world they're shutting Detroit down.
2017, in an interview with Billboard, John Rich said that this new record they've been working on has, quote, some 80s country on there and also some Eagles West Coast country kind of stuff. And that brings us to their sixth record, Did It for the Party, which is released in September.
I give it 2 spins. The first spin, you know, there's something to that. I didn't care for it. I found it to be really tedious.
Really?
I found it tedious. I was like not vibing with it. The first couple songs I remember thinking like there's something here. And then after a few I was like I just don't think so. I don't think there is. Second spin, I liked it more. I found it more endearing. It's definitely more entertaining than Gravity. I don't think the highs are as high as like Hillbilly Jedi. There's nothing that I love the way I love like Cause I Play Guitar on Hillbilly Jedi. I think that's just a classic jokey country song that's great. There's not like a really good jokey country song on Did It for the Party.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of like sexy material, which there's one I would say my favorite song off of this record was Turns Me On.
Yeah.
I really like Turns Me On.
boy.
It's a song about a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And at first you think, okay, this guy's describing all of the annoying things his wife does because he's over her and this is over. That's how the song kind of presents itself, right? You know, like she even leaves her hairbrush in the sink. What a lazy bum, you know? Like, what a gross lady. And the
Nasty woman.
twist, but it turns me on. I love that. That's so nice.
It is cool too because when you see the title of that song, you're like, oh boy, you know,
Yeah.
you think it's going to be a certain type of thing, and then it's kind of the opposite.
It's kind of sweet. It's a
Yeah.
sweet song.
Turns me on. I ain't lying. I promise you, there's nothing you can do any crazier than me. I'm barreling down the highway with you in my passenger seat. Girl, we make lightning sliding in sideways on a two-way street, and it turns me on.
It also has
They're
three
not
of
that
what I think
good.
are their worst songs ever.
Hit
We
me.
Came to Rock.
That's really
spelled
bad.
R-A-W-K.
That's some like lame middle of the road rock music.
Funk in the Country.
I don't hate
Love
funk in the
funk
country.
in the country.
And My Son, which is
My son's
Yeah.
bad.
just like your classic, I had a kid and I love my boy.
Yeah, which so is Lie, Cheat, or Steal.
Yeah.
Which they
Yeah,
followed
yeah.
up with. The last two songs on this record are tedious.
Yeah.
And I'm sad they
It
went
leaves
on.
you with such a bad taste in your
On
mouth.
that
And
note.
this is the last Big and Rich album we
Yeah.
have at present. US Billboard, top 200. It will hit 9. Goes to 2 on the top country albums and 1 on the independent albums chart.
Whoa.
Big Kenny releases his Electro Shine solo record the same year as Did It For The Party. 2019, John gives us a collaboration between himself and Fox News's The Five, entitled Shut Up About Politics.
You punch left, I punch right. We're caught up in the middle of a deep swamp fight. Some people lie, some people steal, and everybody's talking about the Green New Deal. Shut up about politics. Ain't nothing but a big pile of dirty tricks. I'm tired of all the fighting and the pitching fits, so shut up about politics.
Jesus.
Says the Politics News
Says
channel.
the Five?
What?
The following year, in 2020, John Rich accuses the Lipscomb Academy in Nashville of racist indoctrination after students were assigned the essay, Whose Story Is It? By Laurie Haas Anderson. He said, quote, racism does not exist at the school based on my experience there, which he obviously would experience as a white male.
Yeah.
Who doesn't attend the school?
Yeah, racism to white men is a real problem.
The dean of the school, Brittany Pascal, is fired following this and him raising hell about all this.
Cancel culture, am I right?
Yeah.
I read the article, Whose Story Is It? And the only thing it says about it, it mentions white privilege and says, if you don't know what white privilege is, here's an article where you can read more about it. And that's it. So it's just
Linking
offering-
articles. Oh
just
my God.
offering educational
We've gone too
materials.
far now.
You can form your own opinion about that. I didn't write about that.
In 2021, John Rich attended a meeting at the Tennessee State Capitol regarding the banning of, quote, obscene, unquote, books in schools. You can watch him going on this whole tirade. He declares that teachers and librarians are child groomers and pedophiles. He says, quote, what's the difference between a teacher, educator, or librarian putting one of these books like you have on the desk of a student? Or a guy in a white van pulling up at the edge of a school when school lets out and saying, come on around, kids. Let me read you this book and show you these pictures.
Or a DJ at a party turning on a song called Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy.
What is
and
the
making my
difference?
granddad dance to it. He goes on to say, what's the difference in these two scenarios? There is a difference, by the way. He gets much more Trumpy in his delivery as well.
Yeah.
They can run away from the guy in the white van. Mic drop. He then takes to Twitter afterwards and calls himself, quote, the firewall between tyranny and freedom. All the while, Big Kenny is producing and starring in a television show called...
It's so cool.
Called, what is it? Big Kenny's Crank It Up Garage?
Something like that. That sounds right. He takes cars or vehicles.
Vehicles. They do boats. They do
boats.
Motorcycles.
Weird,
little planes.
Little weird cars, weird vehicles, trucks of various natures.
And they just soup them up. They do all kinds of stuff to various modes of transportation.
They paint flames on them.
This year, Bud Light sent influencer Dylan Mulvaney some beer to use to create content in a sponsorship deal, which Mulvaney does. This incensed bigots across the nation, as Dylan Mulvaney is a trans woman who dressed in a really damn good Holly Golightly cosplay from Breakfast at Tiffany.
Yeah.
Like, spot on outfit. Obviously, Breakfast at Tiffany's is something near and dear to the bigots of America, and they didn't like that Dylan Mulvaney, in their eyes, desecrated this character. You'll be surprised to know that Kid Rock announced that he was boycotting Bud Light immediately after the sponsorship deal was announced.
Famously shot it up with a machine gun.
Which sounds a lot like canceling an entity that engages in behavior that one disagrees with.
Yeah, shut up about
Wouldn't you say
politics.
so?
Come
Wow.
on. You know what Kid Rock needs to do? Take a ride on the love train.
Stop.
Now, while John Rich was on the now fired Tucker Carlson's late night show, John Rich announces that he has pulled Bud Light from his bar, Redneck Riviera.
No.
John Rich says, quote, the customers decide. Customers are king. Our number one selling beer up until a few days ago was what? Bud Light. We got cases and cases of it sitting back there. So I'm going to own the libs by not selling one of my most viable beers.
Yeah.
You can't get a Bud Light there at this time of recording, but you can pay $14 for a hot dog. So...
Is it on Broadway? Because that sounds like Broadway price.
I don't think it's in Nashville proper. I think it's right outside of it.
Got it.
It's the Riviera.
That's true.
Big Kenny doesn't make a ton of appearances, nor does he post much online. Typically, if you go on his Twitter, he's selling stuff for his he's selling like his memorabilia and stuff for charities, or posting videos of bad Sammy Hagar songs that he likes, or words like these. Quote, sending out prayers for peace. Peace in our world, peace in our countries, peace in our communities, peace in our hearts. Imagine for a moment. And I would really like to see Big Kenny own up to the fact that he has such a close affiliation to a guy who is spouting the antithesis of what he is saying most of the time.
Yeah, an open bigot.
Mm-hmm. Again, like I get that John Rich thinks that he is the firewall between freedom and tyranny, and I also believe he might believe that. But at the end of the day, he is proving to be that through hateful rhetoric, where he is inherently putting people down and wanting to deprive them of their rights, of not wanting to support companies that give money to people that he disagrees with their lifestyle. Again,
right.
Like that was a totally fair, like, market decides what's popular right now.
Yeah.
And he shot that down. And I'd like Big Kenny to contest and sort of reconcile with these disparate ideas that this guy who sang on Love Train is also wanting to strip people away of their basic human rights.
Absolutely. And that's even more, I guess, frustrating for me right at this moment, because before we did the show today, I decided to look, hey, what's John Rich been up to on Twitter? Because he loves to get on Twitter. And 2 days ago, he posted a photograph of some lyrics with the caption that, hey, I'm back in the studio. And I really hope that it's not going to be another Big and Rich record at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know?
mean, they're touring together, right?
They're doing shows. Doesn't seem like a proper tour so much as just like we'll pop in when the money's right at festivals and things like that. I want to believe that Big Kenny is what he says he is, and I have no choice but to believe that John Rich is what he says he is. It doesn't really seem like there's any way that it's, even if it's crass business, whatever, it's vulgar and wrong, dangerous rhetoric. I just hope Big Kenny is more than just talk when it comes to all of his like hippie stuff, you know? It's not just long hair and flowy shirts.
And imagining peace.
And imagining the concept of peace.
Yeah.
What are our takeaways about Big and Rich, kids?
Hoof.
Like a horse.
Yes, horses. That's my takeaway. I don't know, a lot of performative, but you know, like you're saying, until Big Kenny steps up and makes it not performative, you know, like makes it actually says something besides we love everyone of all colors. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to say that I can imagine a world where Big and Rich do something really exciting and interesting. You mentioned Lil Nas X earlier. Mm-hmm. I think that Big and Rich have a history of putting black rappers on their records, between Cowboy Troy and Wyclef Jean and country music. And I think Lil Nas X really, you know, jump-started that conversation a couple of years ago. And I don't think that conversation has particularly moved since Lil Nas X jump-started it. I think that, if anything, he proved why that doesn't happen very often. I think that there's a real opportunity for everybody, including you, John, to have a big hit record and get everybody's attention by featuring Lil Nas X on one of your songs.
Yeah.
And I think that Big Kenny knows it, and I think Big Kenny would be happy to do that. I think there's nothing stopping Big Kenny from featuring Lil Nas X on a Big and Rich song. I think John Rich, however, has sort of created a situation for himself where he's not allowed to do that, which doesn't really feel very free or open-minded of him. I want Big and Rich to get back together, do a song with Lil Nas X where John Rich admits that he's been a bigot, and that's my dream, that John Rich comes to heel and supports Lil Nas X.
Yeah, but when have they ever done anything hard? That would be hard for them. You know? Like
2004.
Save a horse, ride a cowboy was hard.
20 years ago.
That was brave.
I think there's something to it. I don't know.
Well, yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Aw.
Good night.